Hello and welcome to the season finale of DESS. We're going to be taking a break this summer as most of the sports we've been covering are on a break as well, so we're not going to be here every week talking about nothing. So, final show of the first season, and we're going to cover two things today. We're going to talk about European football leagues and what's been happening there towards the end of the season, and then we're going to conclude talking about the upcoming NBA finals. So we're going to start with Champions League final. Bayern Munich are the winners of the Champions League 2013, just like you predicted on our special Champions League preview. It was a really exciting match, I have to say. I watched it all the way through. It was a great match. Could have gone either way, but in the end, I have to say the better team did win. How did you read the game? Did the better team win? And what's going to happen in next season for Bayern with Pep Guardiola coming in?
Yeah, it's a tough job for him. I think he was hoping that Bayern would lose the final, to be honest, because his job now is impossible. Like, if he wins anything less than 2 titles, I think it's going to be a failure. So that's why they're reinforcing their squad right now by buying or weakening their rivals in Dortmund, which is a pathetic move in my opinion. But the game itself, it was really exciting, like you said, and it was tense. It was not as entertaining as I thought it was going to be, which was a little disappointing. But you could definitely tell in the beginning that Bayern were just nerve wrecks. They were really uncomfortable and nervous in the beginning. Dortmund, like usually, they play fearless, and I thought they were going to get the first goal. They had some half chances to get in the lead, and that would have been a different game for sure. But Bayern got the first goal, and Dortmund came back and got a lucky penalty, you might say. But I think it came down to Bayern was. I think they were in better physical shape, and they wanted the title more than Dortmund did. So definitely the better team won. Unfortunately for Dortmund, they had to play Bayern this year in the Champions League final. They would have had a better chance against any other team, I think. So good season for them. I feel bad for them to have lost this final. But at the same time, Bayern had been waiting for, 8 years or something like that.
Yeah, since 2001.
Since 2001, okay, yeah, even more. So well deserved, great season for them. They got the treble. So.
Yeah, exactly. I said in the preview, I predicted a Dortmund win because I thought that they would just manage to scrape through somehow. I mean, it looked like they were gonna maybe pull through during periods of the game, but Bayern were the better team. They deserved it. They just wanted it more, like you said, and they've had the ultimate season, winning the league by a big margin, winning the Champions League by beating Dortmund in the final, and then this past weekend beating Stuttgart to win the German Cup. So they've won the treble. Jupp Heynckes is leaving. He's won everything that he can win this final season. Pep Guardiola is taking over. I have absolutely no clue how he's going to improve upon what Bayern have done this year. It's gonna be really interesting to see. And like you said, they're getting Götze from Dortmund. There's a lot of talk about them getting Lewandowski as well. I mean, if they get him as well, which, I mean, when the talk gets to the level that it's getting to, you can pretty much conclude that he's going to go there at some point.
Yes.
So you have to imagine that Bayern are going to be the new European superpower, so to speak, taking over from Barcelona, which have been the main team in Europe for the last few years.
Yeah.
I think Barcelona are going to go through a lot of changes, and Real Madrid as well, because they're getting a new coach too, which we'll come on to in just a minute. But Barcelona are going to have a lot of changes. I think the goalkeeper is leaving. They signed Neymar a couple of days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Where is he going to fit in? How is he going to play with Messi? And how is everything going to work? Is David Villa going to stay?
Mm-hmm.
What is Fabregas' role going to be in the team? So there's going to
Yeah.
be a lot of changes going on in the European football landscape over the next couple of years. But talking about Madrid, Mourinho has gone, and he's gone where we thought he was going to go, back to Chelsea.
Yeah.
It's going to be really interesting to see what's going to happen with him being back at Chelsea, because when he left on bad terms with the owner, and
Yeah.
it's kind of surprising to see that he's come back 6 years later with the same owner,
Hmm.
and you just wonder what has changed. Is the relationship going to be okay, and is Mourinho going to be what he was the first time around for Chelsea? Because I'm not sure.
I think he's right now. He's talking. He's smooth talking a lot, and he knows his public image is beyond bad, um, and like it should be. Because I don't think there's anyone in the world that hates Mourinho more than Jose Mourinho himself, because he comes across to me just as an arrogant, ridiculous, you know, I don't know. He's a clown is not the right word. I don't know what to think of him anymore. His ego is bigger than anything I've ever seen from a coach
Yeah,
in sports.
exactly. And yeah, when he was confirmed as the new Chelsea manager a couple of days ago. I was watching TV, and they were showing like a montage of his Mourinho moments, so to speak, from when he was at Chelsea the first time around. And some of the stuff he said during the press conferences was just ridiculous. I mean, and one of the things he said was, "My ego when I came like this, my ego now like this." So he's
Yeah.
even admitting that he's got a huge ego. And some of the stuff that he's did, I mean, do you remember when he was walking out down the tunnel and walked past Puyol and just pretty much just slapped him right on the cheek? I mean, that sort of stuff is just
Yeah,
outrageous.
he is just ridiculous, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it's a ticking time bomb. He is a ticking time bomb wherever he goes.
Yeah,
And with I think Roman Abramovich has a bit of an ego himself
he does. Yeah, no
with all
question.
the money he has and his lifestyle. So I think they're gonna clash at some point when things are not going that well anymore for them, and it's gonna be tough for them because Man United are still strong, of course, and they're favorites over Chelsea any day, and Man City as well. So it depends on, I guess, how Chelsea starts the season next.
Yeah,
Or
precisely.
this fall. It's going to be vital for the
Yeah.
relationship, because it's already on the wrong foot, I think. And I don't get this hire. It's just
Yeah, I sort of
there's more.
get the feeling that both men, they probably don't like each other, because there's no way that he would have left the first time around if they had got on. So he's
Yeah.
back, and I think he's probably back because the owner knows that he's probably the only coach that can deliver the results that he wants.
Mhm.
And Mourinho is back thinking Chelsea is the only club where I'm actually loved, and where the fans actually love me. So I think they both sort of put their own differences to the side
Yeah.
for the good of the club. But
Mhm.
I completely agree with what you said regarding the start of the season, because if they start the season poorly and, let's say, lose the three games in the first 10 or 2 games in the first 5,
Yeah.
pressure is going to be on immediately, and there's going to be no margin for error. I think
Yeah.
Mourinho is going to have to deliver a trophy, and a big trophy, and I'm talking either Champions League or the league itself, in his first season, because he's coming back with the expectations from the fans and from everyone that he's going to win. He is now the number one coach in the English league,
Mhm.
with Ferguson gone. So there's a lot of pressure there. But like you said, it's so competitive. It's probably even more competitive than when Mourinho left in 2007, because you've got more competition at the top. You've got the Manchester clubs. You've got Arsenal and Spurs, who can compete pretty much with anyone, and then you've got Liverpool and Everton, which can also compete.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be easy, and they could easily find themselves battling for fourth and fifth instead of battling for the championship.
Yeah.
Not a lot has to happen for that to be the case. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens next year in Spain. with Madrid and Barcelona sort of being restructured, and with Guardiola going to Germany.
Yeah, that is like the worst possible job in the world that he has right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was supposed to be, an awakening, but now it's just all the pressures on them, and
Yeah,
I don't know.
they've got a huge target on their back. A
Yes.
huge target. And
Yes.
and it's completely changed now from Barcelona being the team that everyone wants to beat to Bayern Munich being the team that everyone wants to beat, especially with Guardiola as the coach. It's sort of the greatest team with the greatest coach.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's sad to see Bayern, in my opinion, wasting resources right now. Maybe I actually would have gotten rid of Robin because I don't like him personally, and I think he sometimes, everyone knows that he likes to touch the ball, and sometimes he is the source of the waste himself. But I think by getting Götze instead, they paid 37 million euros for him, which is way too much because I'm not that big of a fan of him. I think he's a little overrated. Royce is, in my opinion, way better than him. Plays for Dortmund.
Yeah.
So even though they wouldn't have signed him, I don't think it strengthens the team at all. This signing that Götze is.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I can't see where he fits in.
It's a lot of money. Yeah, exactly. And they have Kroos, who was injured for the last 2 months of the season. He can come in. He was starting instead of Robben. People have to remember that.
Yeah.
Robben, who won them the Champions League, was not starting any games for Bayern before the season started. And Badstuber, who plays the central D, he was out for the season from game number 6 or something. And then Van Buiten come in. So they're very deep. They got a deep squad. And then they spent, or allegedly are going to spend 80 million euros on 2 players, half and half to strengthen their own team and then to weaken Dortmund, which is just ridiculous because they were complaining about this same issue in the media, I think less than 3 months ago, where they were saying that it's a dangerous path they're on right now, Dortmund and Bayern, that Ule Hoeneß was saying that this can't go on any longer, that there's only 2 superpowers in Germany and other teams have to, pull it together, and Bayern and Dortmund should, be conscious about this and try to increase competitive balance, which is definitely not going to happen next year. At least it doesn't look like it. So it's ridiculous. Even though Lewandowski is better than Mandzukic and Gomez combined, in my opinion, even though Mandzukic is a really good striker and Gomez is a good finisher, Lewandowski is he's really, really good. And he can strengthen the team without doubt, but Götze, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, and once we come back in the fall, it's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about. What's going to happen in England, what's happening in Spain, and what's happening in Germany, and what's happening in France with Monaco doing ridiculous stuff. But we'll talk about that some other time. I haven't got oxygen to talk about that kind of stuff today. But let's conclude the season talking about the NBA. Last night, the NBA Finals lineup was completed with Heat beating the Pacers in Game 7 in Miami. I watched most of the game, and it started out pretty competitive. Then, sort of in the middle of the second quarter, the Heat just steamrolled the Pacers. It looked like men against boys. It really. I mean, I hadn't watched all of the series up until Game 7, and watching Game 7, I was really surprised to see how the Pacers could even be 3-all going into Game 7. The finals themselves: Heat from the East, Spurs from the West. I've said the whole season that the Heat are going to win the championship, and I'm not going to back down from that. But nevertheless, I think it's going to be an interesting series. I think the Spurs are going to be able to put up a good fight. They've had a bit of rest since they got through, and it's going to be really interesting to see how the series starts out. I think if the Spurs can win in Miami early on, it might make things interesting. But nevertheless, I think the Heat are going to pull through. And
how many games?
How many games? I'm going to say Heat in 6. I'm going to say 4-2 Heat.
Okay.
What about you?
Heat in 7 because I think Spurs are going to get 2 wins by default just by showing up because their offense is so good, uh, as opposed to actually a great Heat defense. On the other hand, I don't know who's going to stop um, the big man for the Heat on Spurs because, as like I said, Spurs are going to get 2 wins just by showing up, and I think Heat are also going to get those 2 wins just by showing up. So it's going to be, I don't see an easy series for either one, but just Popovich is by far the best coach in the NBA, in my opinion, and they swept the Grizzlies, which is amazing. I don't think any team could do that in the NBA.
Yeah.
And people even predicted that the Grizzlies would beat them, but they showed us otherwise. They had some problems with Golden State, but I think it was, I don't know why that was. I think Golden State is a good team and great team offensively. So that's where it boils down to. If Spurs can make some stops against the Heat, they have a chance in the series, I guess. And they have had a rest for
close to 10 days, I think.
Close to 10 days, yeah.
Yeah.
And the first game's on Thursday, so that's going to be an important game. And if they steal one in Miami, I think it's at least going to go to 7 games. So
you think it's going to go to 7 if they win in Miami?
Yeah,
I'm.
It's going to go to 7 if they lose both there. So
yeah, I think. Yeah, like I said, it's all going to be down. It's all going to come down to what they do with the big man inside. I mean, the Heat against the Pacers in Game 7, they completely managed to shut down the Pacers in the paint. I mean, they didn't get the ball in the paint. No, they didn't score any points, and the Pacers turned the ball over again and again and again because it just felt like the Heat just became more physical, more intense on defense, and just looked like they wanted it more in the end because maybe the pressure was on them to pull through, and it was win or take some serious consequences. But yeah, I'm not going to back down. I think the Heat are going to be NBA champions for the 2nd year in a row. And the playoffs, I don't know about you, but I think the playoffs have been a bit of a disappointment from sort of a big picture standpoint because all of the big teams and the big names were knocked out early, and it's sort of been. I mean, people are talking about if the Pacers beat the Heat and it's going to be a Pacers Spurs final, that it's going to be a nightmare for the NBA trying to publicize and try to make people tune in to watch it. So I think the league are probably happier that the Heat are going to the finals and that people can watch James, Wade, Bosh, Ray Allen, and all those guys in the final going up against Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker.
Yeah, and it's a shame to mention Chris Bosh in the same sentence as LeBron James.
Yeah, true. It is true.
Full athlete who makes more or the same amount of money as LeBron James, and he contributes nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Watching the game last night, I think he made a big 3-pointer at some point, and I thought to myself, that's probably the first time that I've actually seen him do something meaningful on the court for the Heat.
He was 1 for 8 in Game 6 with 4 rebounds, and I think anyone at his size can just roll out of bed and perform better.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though they got destroyed in that game, and that was just like a mirror image of the game last night. It was men against boys, but it was in favor of the Pacers. So it was a good series. It was a good playoffs on the East side, I think.
Yeah.
On the West Coast, it was a little disappointing because of Oklahoma. Houston was a good series, but after that, the Spurs Golden State, but like marketing-wise, I think the Grizzlies Spurs was not.
Yeah,
it's not great.
It didn't get the pulse going.
Yeah.
At all, and I mean, and like you say, it's from a purely basketball standpoint, it's probably been good because the Spurs are a great team.
Yes.
And they're incredibly well coached. But for some reason, the Spurs have never, and probably will never, under Popovich, get people excited because there's nothing. I mean, it's not like it's the prettiest thing to look at. There's no big star player that takes people on, and
they get the purists excited, but not the bandwagon fans or just the weekend basketball fan. So it's
precisely. But yeah, I think it's going to be the Heat in 6, second consecutive title, and by default, second consecutive Finals MVP for LeBron James.
And their last title.
I'd like it to be their last title because I'm not a big fan of the Heat, but we will definitely see. But I think that probably wraps it up.
Yes, it does.
It does.
It's been an honor.
Yep.
Dr. Ole Jonasson, it's been a pleasure, and hopefully we can pick it up in the fall, in August or September.
Exactly, we definitely will. It's been a good first season, doing it over the internet, 2 different countries, 2 different time zones, putting it online. We've had viewers from I think 8 different countries in Europe.
That's amazing.
And a bunch of viewers in the States as well. I've had a couple of messages of people watching, so hopefully more people will tune in next season. It's going to be better. It's going to be improved, and thanks for this first season.
Thanks for watching, and hopefully we will see you again.
Yep, I agree with that statement.
Give you the last sentence to say.
Yeah, I'll conclude. You leave it to me to conclude the first season. Thanks everyone for watching. It's been a pleasure. See you in the fall on DESS. Bye bye.